Yo. Oh, I got a big announcement, y'all. A little bit later on today. Matter of fact, I'm gonna be doing a podcast out at Northwoods Mall. You know, so things are gonna start elevating to that next level. So I'm definitely in it to win it. So this is the podcast. We got something interesting to talk about today, and I'm gonna bring it to y'all. Y'all listen. I be trying to, me personally, I be trying to stay out of politics because politics is just that's too much of a hot topic right now, and I really don't need the negativity on my page. You know, what I'm saying I'm dealing with my own stuff. You with nobody, none of that. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm about. You know. I was just with my grandkids last night. You know what I'm saying? Those types of things is what I'm trying to focus on. You know, so to anybody who jump on my page, just make sure y'all bring positivity into uh, especially if I'm here with like if I have a guest in here. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's already hard enough to try to get people to come in and want to do podcasts and talk and stuff like that. So um, let's not try to bring negativity because that just runs somebody off. They wouldn't want to be on the podcast. I wouldn't want to be on a podcast if the backlash was just negativity or I'm asking people about their life in some situations. And so I need them to be comfortable telling me things that I want to know and things that you want to know and could help you out. So let's make sure we be positive when we jump into the podcast. That's what I'm asking people, folks in here. We could do that. You know what I'm saying? I be having people you would you wouldn't believe. I have people come in here and this ain't Fox News. Straight up, like we black. First of all, we black. You know, and we're gonna have our disagreements about certain things. That's cool. I understand that. But one thing we can't do is tear each other down. I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, and females don't even, I'm telling y'all, females don't look at, if they see people, grown men on Facebook arguing, that don't look good. They look at that worse than they look at females arguing. So, let's not do that at all. I'm not even down for that. My brand takes a hit when people sit there and argue with me on Facebook. Because, okay, say for instance, because one time I guess I was a polarized figure because, you know what I'm saying? I was like, you know, really trying to let people know that this ain't that. You know, we gonna keep it moving. Like I'm building something here. You know what I'm saying? When I was doing the comedy, people look at that as, oh, okay, yeah, he this type of person, that type of person. I'm building characters and y'all making it seem like that's life. You know, so whatever. I was fighting like, and I'm getting to a point I was fighting my reputation, so to speak, to trying to break out and do comedy or stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So um I've been through that, done that. But I forgot my point. We have to learn how to build each other up and not try to tear each other down. That's the biggest thing of the day. Because this is not easy. It's not easy doing what I do. To try to know how to navigate. I can't copy that shit. Navigate all this shit and be able to learn this shit. We'll get started here in just a second. One of the things I want to talk about today is the farming industry because it's important because it affects everybody. The farming industry affects everybody. I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, it affects everybody. So that's why I kind of want to talk about it, because there is something going on, and we need to know. Here we go. So tap in if you're interested in learning about our food and how we get our food and how things may be changing. This may be something that you want to take a look at. Because like I said, it's going to affect everybody. And the tariffs, all that stuff is going to affect everybody. It's going to affect everybody, whether you like it or not. Country, the farming industry is getting hit hard, and I want to just kind of see what I'm learning about it, and we will come back and talk about it. Okay, here we go. Things are changing, y'all. Let's check it out.
Corporation to make more money. They're the apex predator. If you really want to boil it down, as far as for me, I've become the prey.
Farmers in America's Corn Belt are struggling. Over the past few decades, the fertilizer they depend on to grow our food has become astronomically expensive.
There's no competition going on, and it's really, really frustrating.
Right now, just 4 companies, including Koch Industries, control more than 75% of the nitrogen fertilizer market, allowing them to drive up prices for farmers and reap record profits. And that's about to get even worse.
Koch Industries plans to buy one of the country's largest fertilizer companies.
Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand says Iowa taxpayers and Iowa farmers will suffer.
This sale could create a monopoly in the industry.
The plant Koch wants to buy was built with taxpayer subsidies to create more competition and lower prices.
And now here we're in a situation where we had all these tax dollars go into building this plant, and yet now it's potentially going to be owned by the very same company that the plant existed to provide competition for.
We wanted to know how we ended up with a system that creates massive profits for multi-billion-dollar companies at the expense of the farmers who grow the food that feeds all of us, and how we might finally be able to fix it.
This is all I've ever known, is how to farm.
Harold Beach is a farmer and a board member of a co-op that sells fertilizer in northeastern Missouri. His farm has been in his family for 5 generations.
I left college and thought, well, I'll come home and farm a while till I decide what I want to do with life. And I guess I'm still trying to decide. Let's go by the anhydrous plant first. Restore it.
Anhydrous ammonia is a form of nitrogen fertilizer that's essential for many corn farmers, especially in this area. Right now, Harold's co-op gets it from Iowa Fertilizer Company, the plant Koch Industries wants to buy.
Corn's a big user of nitrogen, and so yeah, it's very important, the pricing of it. You think, well, $50, $70 a ton of product, well, that's not too bad, but that's in addition to the other $5 or $10 an acre for all the other inputs. You add that all up, pretty soon there's nothing left. I mean, you've essentially done it for nothing.
For corn farmers, almost 40% of their operating cost is just fertilizer.
And
but
see, and that's what.
Like this.
And somebody was telling me that the other day. Hold on, somebody was telling me that the other day, and I wasn't paying attention. Like, they was like, well, when you go out of town, take a look at the cornfields anymore, and you don't see like cattle everywhere. You don't see like 20, 30 cattle and stuff like that. Like, America has gotten away from farming. A lot of our stuff comes in from overseas. So you ask yourself, why is the egg prices so high? Well, one of the reasons is because it's tariffed when it comes over here. All of the eggs aren't produced here in America. Some eggs are overseas. They brought it from overseas. Somebody who worked in that industry said like they were getting delivered. Eggs was getting delivered in like daily from overseas. So a lot of our stuff, and we don't know that. We don't understand that. We think everything is made here in America, but that's not true. A lot of even food and stuff is is brought in from overseas. So if things are getting tariffed, like even Canada supplies a lot of our food. So if we tariff them, then that immediately gets higher. Eggs on the south end right now, $9. That's on south end of Peoria. I don't know if y'all understood that when I put that up there the other day. Eggs on the south end of Peoria are $9, and ain't nobody saying nothing. I don't know. I think we fell asleep at the wheel. We not paying attention. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's continue on.
Lots of different places handling it. Anhydrous, we can buy it all day for $80 to $100 a ton, and now it's $700-800 a ton.
Back in the 1980s, there were 46 companies making nitrogen fertilizer. Now there are just 17. As the industry consolidated, the price farmers pay has more than tripled, and profit margins for the biggest players in the industry doubled.
All our big corporations talk about free markets, and we're just here to do the Lord's work, but no, they like a good fixed market too, just like everybody.
In 2012, the state of Iowa came up with a plan to fix this. Former Governor Terry Branstad offered an Egyptian fertilizer company huge tax incentives to build a plant in Iowa.
It's not very often that a project of this magnitude comes along.
The total federal, local, and state subsidy for this fertilizer plant that's going to bring 165 jobs to the state is almost $550 million.
This is an investment that's going to be here for 50 years or more.
This at the time was the largest single investment of tax incentives into one project in the history of the state of Iowa.
It was the first new nitrogen fertilizer plant in the country in 25 years. And it was a real step towards creating more competition in the consolidated industry.
Iowa farmers expect to see $740 million annual savings.
The idea is we want to make sure that there's lots of competition in the fertilizer industry to keep prices low.
Since it opened in 2017, Iowa Fertilizer Company has become the 5th largest producer and a key competitor for Koch Industries.
The co-op I do business with typically can buy from that plant from $50 to $75 a ton cheaper.
But that could soon change. In December 2023, Iowa Fertilizer Company announced it was being bought by Koch Industries for $3.6 billion.
What I'm concerned about here is we had a purpose for investing these tax dollars. And that purpose was to maintain competition so that we would have lower prices for fertilizer for farmers and then lower prices for everybody for groceries. Personally, I think that taxpayers should feel like they're getting robbed in this deal.
The Kochs have long argued that the government should stay out and let the free market dictate the economy.
What's driving the inequality? Is the government picking winners and losers and stifling competition, stifling innovation, and making poor people permanently poor.
But their business directly benefits from a lack of competition. Koch Industries entered the fertilizer market in the early 2000s. As other companies went bankrupt, the Kochs saw an opportunity to take advantage of an industry that was quickly consolidating. Over the next 2 decades, they bought up competitors, built new plants, and soon became the 3rd largest nitrogen fertilizer producer in the US. And this latest acquisition would make them the 2nd largest.
I think that that's backwards, and I think that that's a good basis for the Department of Justice to say, no, we're not going to do this.
The Koch acquisition isn't a done deal yet. That's because the Federal Trade Commission can block mergers that decrease competition. In the past few decades, they haven't done much to enforce this, but the Biden administration is changing that.
When President Biden came into office, he made it a top priority to make sure we were turning the page on what has been 40 years approach of a more hands-off way of enforcing the antitrust laws. During that period, we've seen consolidation, huge waves of mergers and acquisitions, and all too often we hear that as a result, our markets are not working for people, for regular people.
FTC Chair Lena Khan came to Iowa in April to listen to what farmers, including Harold, had to say about what this merger would mean for them.
My name's David Weaver, I'm a farmer. I cannot tell you how irate I was when I got my Farm Bureau spokesman, and I'm a member of Iowa Farmers Union, but I'm also a member of Farm Bureau, and it said that this plant was going to be sold to the Koch. And it was like it was good news. And it stinks, it's awful.
That plant came online in the last 10 years. That has driven competition. Losing that competition is going to hurt, particularly those of us in that southeast corner of the state, northeast corner of the other state, Missouri down there. It means something in dollars and cents in our production costs.
You're the referee in the ball game. We need that. That's what you do. And so I'd encourage you to be fearless and courageous and do the right thing. Thank you.
These listening sessions are the first step in the FTC's process for deciding whether it will block the Koch purchase.
When we've done our review, if we determine that we think the acquisition violates the antitrust laws, violates the laws that say you can't do a merger if it's going to substantially lessen competition, then we have the chance to go file a lawsuit in court, explain to the court why we think the deal violates the antitrust laws, and then it's ultimately the courts that decide, should we let it go through, should we not let it go through.
There are a lot of problems with our agriculture industry, and it's going to take a lot of big swings to undo the damage of decades of unregulated consolidation. But the FTC has a real chance to make a difference here, one that could set a new precedent for how the government can keep corporate power in check and protect farmers.
A lot of people in agriculture really truly do see agriculture as a way of life. It isn't a job, it isn't a profession, it's part of what you do, it's part of how you were raised. And the idea that we are making it harder and harder for people to just be farmers and having that way of life, to me as an Iowan, as a Midwesterner, that doesn't sit right with me either.
In the scheme of the United States or the world, it's not a big deal.
And see, they're talking about the Midwest.
But for me right here in Northeast
that's
Missouri,
us.
It's a big deal. If I'm the guy drowning, it's a hell of a deal. I'd like a life jacket.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more
So,
videos like this one.
That's what that is. So tell me what y'all think about that. My name is Johnny, and this is Live with Johnny.